You may have seen wild animals attacking humans, but today's story flips the script entirely. It begins in a zoo where hunters steal a lion cub and load it onto a plane in a cage. Meanwhile, we meet 25-year-old Alma, an aspiring pianist with a deep love for animals. One day she sets off to visit an island she inherited from her late grandfather, who had adopted her years ago. Upon arrival, she is welcomed by Uncle Joe and sees a beautiful house on the island. Alma decides to spend the night there. That night she watches an old video of her grandfather, where he speaks about a female wolf named Snow who came to the island years ago and became his close companion. He encourages Alma to find Snow and befriend her. At the same time, the lion cub's plane crashes on the island due to a storm. Hearing the crash, Alma ventures outside but finds nothing due to the island's vastness. The next morning, Charles and two young men from Ellenham arrive on the island. They set traps to capture Snow, intending to claim her as the leader of the wolf pack on their land. Snow falls into a trap but cleverly escapes before Charles and his team can capture her. She then finds Alma on the other side of the island. Initially frightened, Alma recalls her grandfather's advice and works to gain Snow's trust. Later, Alma discovers the crash site and finds the lion cub unharmed, cradled in a bird's nest. As the cub tumbles into her lap, Alma takes him home. Snow also returns to Alma's house, bringing her own cub along. Overjoyed to have 3 animals in her home, Alma calls Uncle Joe, who warns her that keeping dangerous animals is risky, and advises her to hand them over to the zoo. He also predicts that the zoo staff will come looking for the lion cub, and they do. When animal control officers arrive the next day, Alma lies, saying she hasn't seen the cub. Back home, she discovers Snow nursing both her cub and the lion cub. Alma names the wolf cub Jack and the lion cub Dreamer. As time passes, the cubs grow closer, and Alma spends her days exploring the island with them. Uncle Joe remains concerned about the dangers of keeping wild animals, but months go by without incident. One day, while Alma is away for a piano audition, Charles's team sneaks onto the island and captures Snow. Alma returns home, excited about her successful audition, but is devastated to find her house in disarray. The cubs, left hungry, had caused the mess. Alma searches the island for Snow but can't find her. Forced to care for the cubs alone, she reluctantly gives up her dream of becoming a pianist. Uncle Joe returns and upon seeing the animals grows angry. He urges Alma to send them to the zoo, but she reminds him of her grandfather's wish to care for these creatures. Touched by Alma's dedication and realizing the suffering the animals might face elsewhere, Uncle Joe softens. He decides to help Alma, dedicating his time to feeding and caring for the animals. Their journey of friendship and survival continues on the island, fulfilling her grandfather's legacy. Alma loved Jack and Dreamer deeply, and the animals also loved her. A year passed, and both had grown into strong, majestic creatures. Uncle Joe continued bringing meat for them from the city, but Jack and Dreamer stayed cautious around him. He again warned Alma about the dangers of living with wild animals, but she refused to let them go. One day, a family approached the island in a boat. Seeing them, Jack began moving toward them. Alma, noticing this, ran to stop Jack but tripped over a stone, hitting her head and fainting. The family didn't notice her and quickly returned to their boat. Jack and Dreamer rushed to Alma's side, trying desperately to wake her up, but it was no use. They cried out for help through the night, but no one came. As darkness fell, the animals stayed by her side, keeping her warm. The next morning, Uncle Joe called Alma multiple times. When she didn't answer, he rushed to the island, fearing something terrible had happened. Suspecting wild animals had attacked her, he called animal control. However, when he found Alma unconscious and saw Jack and Dreamer protecting her, he regretted his decision. At the hospital, the doctor revealed that Jack and Dreamer's warmth had saved Alma's life. Without them, she might not have survived. Meanwhile, animal control captured Jack and handed him over to Charles, who realized he was Snow's cub. Dreamer was sold to Alan, a cruel zoo and circus owner. Alan forced Dreamer to perform using harsh training methods and drugs. However, Alan's son Rafa was kind-hearted and often comforted Dreamer. When Alma regained consciousness, she immediately asked about Jack and Dreamer. With a heavy heart, Uncle Joe told her the truth. Distraught, Alma left the hospital and went straight to the animal control office. She learned Jack had been taken to the wolf park. Furious, she shouted at the officer, but Uncle Joe calmed her down. Later, Alma called Charles, who assured her that Jack was doing well and had made friends. Though somewhat relieved, Alma remained worried about Dreamer. Over the following weeks, she searched every circus in the city, asking about him but found no leads. Dreamer, now known as the Star Lion, continued to suffer under Alan's cruelty. One day, as his circus caravan passed near the wolf park, Jack recognized his childhood friend and cleverly escaped his cage. Rafa noticed Jack's intelligence and followed him, realizing Jack was searching for something. Using his wits, Jack managed to free Dreamer from his cage. Reunited after months, Jack and Dreamer joyfully played together, but when Alan discovered Dreamer's escape, he grabbed a tranquilizer gun in anger. Rafa tried to stop him, but Alan wouldn't listen. Rafa decided to join the search for Dreamer and informed Charles about the situation. Charles then realized Jack and Dreamer were together and issued a high alert across the city, warning that animal control was now hunting both of them. Alma was terrified upon hearing that Jack had a tracker implanted in him, but Ali reassured her as they discovered Jack and Dreamer's last location, a forest. Alma and Ali decided to search for them together. Meanwhile, Jack and Dreamer roamed the city freely, prompting the police to issue a shoot-on-sight order. Eventually, the animals returned to the forest, where Alan and Rafa spotted them. Enraged, Alan fired a tranquilizer dart at Dreamer, but Jack leaped in between, taking the dart himself and collapsing instantly. Dreamer managed to escape. Rafa quickly removed Jack's tracker, administered medicine to Jack, and stayed by his side to reverse the effects of the sedative. Later, Alan and Rafa returned to their barn. Alma and Ali arrived there following the tracker. Alan dismissed them, denying any involvement, but clever Rafa pretended to go to the bathroom and secretly told Alma and Ali the truth. He then guided them to the forest, where they found Dreamer. Dreamer led them to the hut where Jack was resting. Luckily, Jack regained consciousness just in time. However, they heard police approaching, so Alma hurriedly sent both animals down a secret path to escape. The group realized they only needed to cross a river to reach safety on the island. Jack confidently swam across, but Dreamer hesitated, scared of the water. Alma tried to encourage him, but Dreamer turned back toward the forest. Moments later, a gunshot echoed, and Alma feared the worst, that Dreamer had been killed. Heartbroken, Alma cried as she reached the island with Jack, but suddenly, Dreamer appeared. He had gone back to distract the police and managed to return unharmed. Overjoyed, Alma and the group celebrated their reunion. In the end, Alma played the piano at a party to mark Dreamer's safe return. Their family was complete, and the three of them lived happily together on the island. What's your favorite wild animal, and would you want to pet one? Let us know in the comments. See you in the next video.